The hay is in the barn when it comes to evaluating prospects for the 2025 NFL Draft, so we're sharing our consensus top 100 today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much.
Joe, happy Tuesday. This is the spirit of which this show was originally founded. Shows like today. And I get a little nostalgic whenever we get to draft season and we get back to, we're not doing the full-on battle of the boards where we sit here and chastise each other for being 20 spots too low or too high on the wrong guy. But you and I had very independent processes this year.
More than ever.
We watched and presented the players together here on this program a handful at a time, but it was more like coordinating what guys to talk about and a lot less of, hey, let's study these guys simultaneously. What did you see? What did you think? And I think that's pretty apparent when we look at what the consensus board ended up looking like this year. And we're going to work through the whole thing and we'll go position by position, but we have a top 100. We have it highlighted who's different on what guys the most or the least. And I would like to just kind of start by saying I'm glad we're doing this for another year.
Yeah, man. It's we've had some longevity here covering the draft together, and in a media landscape where things change a lot, it's cool that we've been able to do this for as long as we have, and really no end in sight. Oh, by the way, live draft stream Thursday night. We are doing it. We will be live. We get a lot of questions. Are you guys doing the stream? Are you doing the stream? The answer is absolutely yes. Thursday night, we're going to go live 8 o'clock Eastern time right here on the Locked On NFL Scouting YouTube channel. Come be part of it. Hang out in the chat. We'll interact with you. We'll share all of our takes in real time. We'll have the meltdowns. We'll have the excitements, all the different things, the ebbs and flows of the draft in real time. And the thing about me and Kyle, neither one of us is very good at hiding our emotions. So you'll get some really authentic stuff here on Thursday night.
So let's take this to the top 100. And realistically, I really haven't dug in. I did the formatting of blending the rankings together. I haven't really looked at the final product all that much. And I would assume you haven't either.
No.
So we're going to go position group by position group and present the 100 players that are in. But I wanted to kind of start with the top 100 or the top 10 of this top 100 and give this group as the marquee players.
Our consensus top 10.
Our consensus top 10 is as follows. Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter were both tied, where I had one first, you had the other first. I had the other one second, you had the primary one.
You got to go with the trench player.
Okay, so Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, I'm not going to argue with you there.
All right.
And how's this for got to go with the trench player? Ashton Jeanty. It's our third player, followed by Armand Membu, offensive tackle from Missouri, is our fourth consensus player. Will Campbell, a consensus guard for both of us, is our fifth player in this class. Cornerback Will Johnson from Michigan is 6. Josh Simmons, offensive tackle, Ohio State, is 7. And you're higher on him than I am, which you've done it again. You do this every year. I'm like, I'm going to champion this guy. I love this guy. And then you end up higher on him than I am. Mason Graham, defensive tackle, Michigan, is 8. Jahdae Barron, defensive back from Texas, is 9. And Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State, is 10.
I like it. I think it's a good reflection of kind of guys I'm higher on, guys who you're higher on, but they're all included. Like, I don't feel bad about anyone not in there. And I think there's some uniqueness that is reflective of how you and I see the class. Now, come on, Will Johnson. I'm not excited about the medical information that keeps coming out there, but, the tape is a tape. So
Right.
we'll
Do
cling
you
to
buy
that.
that this is a smokescreen at this stage of the game?
No, I think you kind of be able to look at some articles that June of 2023 about his knee getting scoped and something he's dealt with since high school, and the turf toe injury certainly lasted a long time. Yeah, I'm concerned, man. Very concerned.
Yeah, I know it's very easy this time of year to just dismiss everything as smokescreen. And a lot of it is, right? So it's what makes it hard. It's what makes it so compelling, this process. But as I look at this group, Joe, you got a running back, you got a guard, you got probably a hybrid defensive back, and you got a tight end as almost half of this top 100. And the guys that just are sitting on the outside, your first player on the outside looking in is the safety. Malachi Starks is at 11.
Yeah.
Then you get into a group of physically talented pass rushers with Grant, Stewart, and Walker, 12, 13, 14. But then you got an off-ball linebacker, Jahad Campbell, at 15. So I think for me, what it really underscores is we're not averaging number grades. It's your rank and my rank averaged together for all the players. That's how we got the consensus.
Yep.
A lot of non-traditional players near the top. But I think those are the guys that, generally speaking, you have less questions about the outcome because, Shamar Stewart, the pass rush profile, Jalen Walker, the size profile, those kinds of questions. You can put Michael Williams in that conversation as well. He's also in the top 20, but he's not in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
I look at that group in the top 10. It's like, if these guys are healthy, I feel really good about who these players are. And it was the confidence for those players that had them so well represented.
Yeah. I think it's sort of the perception of this draft class, I think, is illustrated by the premium options that we have. I think there's a lot of good players in this draft class. And as I studied it further and further, I really liked it. And especially what you could probably get in that day 2 range, I think is kind of the sweet spot in this draft. But the standout players are just, there's nothing very traditional about the positions, right? You're not really seeing, the quarterbacks high in terms of the way we value them. Receivers not really populating the top 10. Even to an extent like edge rusher or offensive tackle, right? It's lean at some of those positions, but that doesn't mean there's not really good talent to be had. Once you kind of get outside of the high first round.
Right. So that's our top 10. Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Ashton Jeanty, Armand Membu, Will Campbell, Will Johnson, Josh Simmons, Mason Graham, Janae Barron, Tyler Warren, with just on the outside looking in, pretty closely ranked for Malachi Starks, Kenneth Grant, Shamar Stewart, Jalen Walker, Jahad Campbell is the top 15.
All right, let's get to break here, and on the other side of it, we're going to start looking at this position by position and seeing how those stack up, and show you how we think this top 100 should go. Stick with us. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena, and with Game Time, you can be part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. And that's a big reason why I love using Game Time. It's those last-minute deals where you can save 60% off buying those last-minute tickets for sports, comedy, concerts, and theater events near you. Plus, the all-in pricing is awesome. There's never surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
All right, so we'll start with quarterbacks. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, we will bring up the board for each one of these. But if you're just listening on the podcast feed, no worries. We're going to talk through all 100 players, position by position. And, Joe, that starts with 6 quarterbacks. I can count that math on, despite it being more than what I can do on one hand. 6 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
In this year's class: Cameron Ward, Jaxson Dart, Shedeur Sanders, Tyler Shuck, Jalen Milroe, Will Howard.
Yeah, I think it's the right mix. Maybe predictively, you could see Quinn Ewers going earlier, but that's not the range that we value him. This is not a predictive top 100. This is our evaluation.
Kyle McCord also predictably
is
could
close.
get in here. But again, this is our average rankings for our consensus top 100.
Yeah, I mean, the fun part about this group is trying to sort it out after Cam Ward and figure out who's going to go to what team and when. But I think these guys are, to me, this is the best part of this quarterback class. I think I'm pretty comfortable with how this stacks.
Yeah, I like it too. Predictively, do you think it goes Ward, Dart, Sanders, Shuck, or do you think Milroe sneaks in there beforehand?
I think
apparently Shuck's. They're talking Shuck potentially New Orleans at 40 when it gets down.
I think if New Orleans can't trade back in, I think that's probably very much in play. There's so many dominoes. Like, do the Steelers go Milroe? Does Shedeur get past the Giants? And how far does he fall down?
Right.
I mean, I think that's what's going to make this really fun is we don't know.
So what's interesting to me is we both have Cam Ward in a tier of his own. And then you have Dart Sanders. I have Sanders Dart. But Sanders is a more polarizing player, which is why Dart lands second on the consensus. And then the same thing happens with Shuck and Milroe, where you have Milroe 4, Shuck 5. I have Shuck 5, Milroe, or Shuck 4 and Milroe 5. But Milroe's the more polarizing player. So there's more polarizing players that are different end up being the ones that fall second in queue for it to be Dart and then Sanders and then Shuck and then Milroe with Howard. I really like Will. I know we already kind of gave him his shine recently, but I'm glad we could find a spot for him here in the consensus with how the board fell.
Yeah. Future Raider, right?
Get him back with Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
We'll go running backs.
Let's see it. There should be 25 of these, right? Oh,
yeah. Oh, there's not. Turns out there's 6, just like there are quarterbacks. I think this is the right group, too. Where it's Ashton Jeanty, Travion Henderson, Ohio State, Omarion Hampton from North Carolina, Quinshawn Judkins from Ohio State, Bashaw Tootin, Virginia Tech, Caleb Johnson, Iowa.
I think it's the right group.
Joe, little low-key Caleb Johnson hater.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I need some more juice. I got to have more juice.
But the Wikipedia page said he was hitting 23 miles per hour, which would project to running a low 4.3.
You know,
the dumbest storyline of the year for me was whoever decided to make it a personal vendetta to prove that Caleb Johnson was fast.
Yeah. I'd just rather have a guy like Damian Martinez, Caleb Johnson. But I think he'll go. In the top 100.
Yeah, I think he's a strong candidate. You know, obviously Iowa ran a bunch of that outside zone, so there's some potential scheme fits there. And he's a bigger back, right? Are you surprised any of the name didn't get in? Whether it is Damian Martinez or Dylan Sampson or Devin Neal, those are kind of the next guys for me.
Yeah, I think what's hard about them is they're all like missing components of their game. And
right.
I know we saw like last year that run of running backs in the 4th round. Was it like Irving and Ray Davis and Jalen Wright? And so that
Isaac Garendo,
yeah.
it was like 10 and 25 picks or something.
Yeah. So I think there's going to be a big run in the 4th round. So you got to have those differentiators that you think the league will really love. And I think these guys are the most unique and well-rounded.
Yeah, I agree. So I like this group of 6. So we have 6 quarterbacks. We have 6 wide receivers, 6 running backs, and then wide receivers. We end up landing with 11. You surprised that number's that high?
No, I think that's a pretty good amount. I mean, we've seen recent drafts where 5, 6, 7 go in the first round. So I think the distribution of talent is a little bit different, where I don't know that there's going to be like a receiver run, because I think they're really different stylistically. And I think there's a flavor component here. And so I think you have a good saturation of talent to satisfy the needs throughout the top 100 picks, where I don't really feel like there's going to be a big run on these guys.
Yeah. So we have Matthew Golden, Teteroa McMillan, and Emeka Egbuka very closely graded as our 1, 2, and 3.
Did you see DJ aligned with you as Egbuka wide receiver 1? Wow.
He's clean. It's a clean projection.
It's like, oh, I thought this was a pretty, like, not a crazy, but a unique take that you had. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, DJ, I see you.
You know who didn't have to have the college send out some tape of him running routes to try to convince everybody he knew how to run routes? Emeka Egbuka.
God, that's a weird thing to land on the timeline 3 or 4 days before the draft. I'm not going to lie.
Monday of draft week.
I've never seen anything like that,
4-letter major media member. And look, it's that time of year, right? Everybody's trying to get that last exclamation point in. But when you got to take practice tape, and I'll be honest, I didn't think the practice tape was that good. I'm like, these are the highlight routes we got on the reel? Okay. We're talking about Luther Burden from Missouri, who ends up being wide receiver 5 for us. He falls behind Jaden Higgins. Very polarizing player.
I like Jaden Higgins. I really do.
Yeah. The size profile, the athletic profile is exciting. And, dude, he had a good week in Mobile, too. So it's Golden, McMillan, Egbuka, top 3. Jaden Higgins sneaks in front of Luther Burden. I've stolen one of your players that you had to kind of talk me into, in Elik Ayumanor.
Yeah, you're 20 spots higher.
Receiver 6. And then it's Jalen Knoll from Iowa State, Jack Betch, TCU. Jack Betch, fun fact, Joe, one of 3 players in all the players that we mutually ranked. Jack Betch is one of 3 players that we had the exact same ranking on.
We're
both had him 55.
Perfectly.
And then Jalen Royals, Utah State, Kyle Williams, Washington State, and Ty Felton from Maryland. Round out the top 11 that sit in our consensus top 100.
I dig it.
Tight ends?
Let's take a gander.
All right. Tight ends, we are back to 6 players. This is 3 out of the first 4. We got 6 rolling with. Tyler Warren, Penn State, Colston, Loveland, Michigan, Mason Taylor, LSU, Elijah Arroyo, Miami, Terrence Ferguson, Oregon, Gunnar Helm, Texas.
It's interesting to look at the contrasting grades, and we're pretty close on the first 4, Warren, Loveland, Taylor, and Arroyo.
Yeah.
We are pretty different on Ferguson and Helm, but our individual rankings were high enough to, as we average them together, put them both in the consensus 100.
Yeah. Ferguson, look, there's a ton of potential there. And Helm is kind of film over testing. We never really got the testing picture for Gunnar Helm, which is, it's a bit of a bummer. I think he could have helped himself. But this, if you told me there's 6, this feels like the right 6 for me. And
the other guys have questions, right?
Yeah, it's Harold Fannin. There's some translatability for what kind of role he did at Bowling Green versus what kind of role he's going to have at the NFL level.
Medicals with Fedone, even though the receiving profile is really good.
Player, isn't he?
Yeah, Gadsden's like I like Gadsden. He's just a power slot, right?
I know he's verified close to 250. He doesn't play anywhere near that on.
No, I don't want him to be 250.
Yeah, I'd rather him be 230 and be a big slot receiver. I think where Oronde Gadsden II could really help himself the most.
Totally.
And then it's names like Mitchell Evans from Notre Dame, Jackson Hawes, Georgia Tech, very kind of role-specific kinds of players. So these, I think, are the core 6 that kind of give you 3 down potential with versatility as well.
I'm excited to see. Yeah, I'm excited to see how the offensive line shakes out, how many we have consensus top 100.
Are we doing all of it together, tackles and guards?
Yeah, we ought to. We ought to.
For efficiency of presentation of time.
Yeah. So we'll do that. And the defense on the other side of it. Folks, please be sure to stick with us. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? You can turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to go. You can dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite TV shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Plus, the entertainment options are endless. With 4K streaming, you can watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services such as Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen.
So we have 18 offensive linemen total. And of the 18,
that's 18% of the top 100, Kyle.
Oh, that's great math.
How about that for some math, baby?
We have 8 in the top 40.
Man, that's so unique. So we have 10 in the back 60.
And we end up having 8 in the final 35 because we only have 2 that landed between 40 and 65.
Yeah, that's the thing. And like maybe these guys are going to go a little quicker than we think.
Well, Armand Membu, Will Campbell, Josh Simmons, Josh Connerly, Tyler Booker, Gray Zabel, Kelvin Banks. Do you see any of those not going in the first round predictably right now?
Maybe one.
You picking maybe Booker?
Connerly seems like he's on the fringe.
So that's the first 7. And then Jonas Savinaya from Arizona.
Stud.
Donovan Jaxson, Ohio State. Super prolific athlete with great length, plays inside. And then Tate Ratledge, Georgia. Nobody continues to talk about, but very, very well represented in this top 60 player for us.
Just going to low-key have a Kevin Zeitler career. That's fine.
That gives you 10. I look outside this group, and I don't see anybody outside of who we have in the 10 group that I would say is going to go in the top 40, except for maybe Ariante Ursary, Joe, well-documented Ursary hater.
Yep.
And I hate that this has branded me as the Jared Wilson hater, and I'm somehow the Gray Zabel hater.
Yeah. What happened there, Kyle? What happened? I remember old enough to remember the Senior Bowl report. Raven.
Great player.
Yeah.
It just so happens he ranked 51. I
think in your heart you're higher on Jonas Savinaya than 54. I'm not sure what happened there, but you're in.
No.
I
want him at 48 for Miami. I can't put him above 48 or Miami's not going to get him.
Is that
if I had control of such things, right? Like how much easier life would be as a fan if you could control that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that's our 10. Membu, Campbell, Simmons, Connerly, Booker, Zabel, Banks, Savinaya, Jaxson, Ratledge. That's first and second round players through 56 is the lowest ranked offensive lineman. And then the other 8 are Ariante Ursary, offensive tackle, Minnesota. Charles Grant, offensive tackle. He could maybe play inside. William and Mary. Ozzie Trapilo, Boston College. Marcus Mbow, Purdue. Anthony Belton, NC State. Miles Frazier, another guy nobody's talking about. This is another one of those 3 magic guys that had the same ranking for both you and I. And we needed it from to sneak in. So we both did a good job here. Because 96 and 96, he ended up being 93rd on the consensus top 100. And then Cameron Williams and Jared Wilson round out the top 100.
I like it.
Okay. Do you want to do defensive tackles?
Yes.
Okay.
Kyle's loading.
Interior defensive. Sorry, I mean it's a lot of.
No, I know that. That's why I was trying to filibuster for you because I can only imagine the stress of having to click these buttons.
And then some guys that didn't make the cut or were listed as IDLs. So I clicked IDL and no names came up. So then I had to go find DT. This is worse than doing math. I'd rather do math. 14 defensive tackles, Joe.
Wow,
Marino.
That's healthy, Kyle.
Just
Crabbs.
defensive tackles.
We had 18 total offensive linemen and 14 D tackles. This is a loaded class.
Yes, it is. And it's a really good group. So Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Derek Harmon, top 3. Walter Nolan from Ole Miss is 4. Tylik Williams, Alfred Collins, Darius Alexander, TJ Sanders. We're all between 35 and 64. So they're all in the second round range of this consensus top 100. And then Omar Norman Lott, Shamar Turner, Joshua Farmer, Ty Robinson, Jamari Caldwell, Vernon Broughton round out the group.
Man, you love to get a couple of these guys on your team, right?
Yes.
This is loaded. This is absolutely loaded. I'm glad I got to Jamari Caldwell over the weekend. Boy, he's fun. He's a fun football player. And Vernon Broughton's got a lot of ceiling to him as well as guys we have lower in the top 100.
So Broughton's got all that length, right?
Yeah.
Just monster length at his disposal. And Caldwell's the Mayock dancing bear.
Oh, God. Yeah.
With just like way more finesse than you expect.
Right.
But still obviously has the anchor as a bigger bodied player that's playing in the mid 330s.
We got some dudes in Tyleik Williams and Jamari Caldwell, and their build and how they play and their effort and how they fly around is just, it's different, man. It's different. I love those guys.
Yeah, little bowling ball builds with a lot of natural leverage, right?
Yes. Yes.
Tons of natural leverage because their pad level just naturally makes them really difficult to get underneath. Yeah. I think that's the thing about this group. I know we got to get rolling to edges. There's so many different body types and styles here. Like you got point of attack guys like both the Texas guys, like Alfred Collins and Vernon Broughton. And I put Josh Farmer in that bucket as well from Florida State. You got the penetration types like Norman Lott and TJ Sanders and Walter Nolan. You got the big bodied, the nose tackle types like the Kenneth Grants. You got the undersized bowling ball, A-gap defenders, Tyleik Williams and Jamari Caldwell. You got a prototype like 4-eye Darius Alexander type build, and there's some overlap there. It just really is a really fun group with a lot. So if the good news is, if you're a team that needs defensive tackles in surplus, you're going to find them. But yeah, first, go ahead.
You're talking about like all the unique players, just missing CJ West and Aeneas Peebles, who are some of the most unique body types and skill sets you're going to find.
Right. Now, for as good as the defensive tackle group is, Joe, we have 18 edge rushers.
Good Lord.
Abdul Carter, Shamar Stewart, Jalen Walker, Michael Williams, Mike Green. Those are all in our consensus top 20. Then you have Donovan Izaraku and Nick Scorton. They land in our consensus top 25. And then you got to wait a little bit. Then you got Landon Jaxson, Arkansas, James Pierce, Tennessee, JT Tuimualu, Ohio State, Ashton Gelati from Louisville, and Femi Oladejo from UCLA. Those are all in the top 64. So in the first and second round, you got a dozen. You got 12. And then the last 6 that are in the third round bucket for us of this consensus, Braden Swinson, LSU, Josiah Stewart, Michigan, Jared Ivey, Ole Miss, Jordan Birch, Oregon. Got a couple of guys that blur the lines with being bigger body types. Princely Yuma Milan from Ole Miss, and then Jack Sawyer at 99.
All kinds of flavors, man. You want hand in the dirt, base ends. You want stand-up rushers. You want guys that can play on the edge and reduce inside. You want versatile chess pieces to play all over the front. Yeah. Man, the flavors abound here in this group. 18 Kyle Crabbs. 18, so is that how many defensive tackles?
14.
Wow, we got a round.
We have 50 offensive linemen and defensive linemen.
I love that. This is a take your medicine, eat your vegetables draft, baby.
It's a meat and potatoes class, right?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so we'll go to linebackers. 4. Somehow managed to get a less deep top 100 linebacker group than last year, which I think we were in the same. I think we had 4 or 5 last year.
And Kyle, do you even feel 100? Like this is not a predictive top 100, but predictively, do you even feel that good about Demetrius Knight and Jeffrey Bassa going in the top 100?
I feel pretty good about Knight. Bassa, no. Like I wouldn't guess that he does. Now you might get somebody else, like maybe Barrett Carter. Somebody thinks they're finally gonna get the light bulb to come on there. Maybe Danny Stutzman.
Yeah.
But like with just the way that it rolled out, like this is about what I would expect. And dude, you got Jahad Campbell 15 for us, Carson Schwessinger 31. Demetrius Knight's the next one at 74.
Yeah. Well, you saw some of the rumblings, reports about Carson Schlesinger potentially being a target for like late first round, and you kind of get it. Like you got it. You need a starting backer, dude. You better get Campbell or Schlesinger.
Yeah, don't let the shoulder scare you too much for Campbell,
right?
Because if you need one and you're trying to compete, you could probably find one elsewhere somewhere along the way. But man, like you could get left out in the cold real fast here.
Yep, 100%.
Corners. We have 11 that sit in our top 100. Travis Hunter, we have him classified as a corner, but he could be a wide receiver if you wanted him to be. You can make it a dozen over there. Will Johnson, Michigan. Jahdae Barron, Texas. Those are all top 10 players in the class. Savon Revel from ECU, ranks 27. Trey Amos, Ole Miss, 28. Maxwell Hairston, Kentucky, 32. So we end up with what? Draft dudes do math. 6 in the top 32. Darian Porter, Iowa State. A lot of people lower on him, Joe, than what both you and I are. You had him 34th.
Bet on the
potential,
trades,
recent transition, traits, length, explosiveness, a lot to like. And so Darian Porter, CB7, Jacob Parrish, CB8. For us, he's also in the top 40. A couple of brand guys there, and then a couple of really polarizing players. Where you're much higher on Azariah Thomas from Florida State than I am, but he comes in 50th on the consensus board. Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame, I'm much higher than you are. And then Noel Williams from Cal, well represented in the 90s of both of our individual rankings that puts him 91st on the consensus.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little surprised we're that far apart on Thomas.
I just think he's a really scheme-specific talent. So I don't think he's going to be for everybody. And because of that, if I'm grading for everybody when I do my rankings, and I'm projecting you're not going to be for everybody, it hurt him a good bit.
Yeah. I love how young he is. I think it doesn't turn 21 until June, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's one of 10 players in this draft class that will be 20 on draft night.
Yeah. So I'm in on the upside there for sure. Noel Williams is a nice player, man. I worry that we're too low. I'll be honest with you. And that's my fault. I have a 98. You have,
no, it's my fault too. I'm in the 90s, but
I know.
I'll take where we're at on him than where it feels like a lot of people are at on him.
Which is higher or lower? I'm not sure where.
I feel like a lot of people are like not even talking about Noel Williams.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then I'm glad we have him in.
Yeah. Safeties? Bring it home?
Oh, it's a lean list.
We got 6. And I think it's pretty right. And if we were doing a consensus top 120, I bet we have a bunch of other names.
Sneaking in, yeah.
It feels like that's where the heart of the safety class is kind of that fringe top 100. So we got Malachi Starks and Nicky Manwari in our top 32. Xavier Watts, Andrew Makuva between 32 and 64. I think this is pretty chalk. And then Kevin Winston and Lathan Ransom come in as our final 2 names, which brings us to 6, and that's 100 total for our consensus top 100.
Very interested to see how overall we align with the league in terms of valuation, right? Because nothing about what we did here is predictive. This is literally just averaging our rankings together. And I think this is a really unique year for the league. And how
handle that.
Yeah, we'll find out soon enough.
We will. That's going to do it for us here today. Locked on NFL Scouting, Kyle Crabbs, Joe Marino. We appreciate you guys, as always, for checking out the show. Make it a great rest of your Tuesday, and we will be back again tomorrow to get you guys ready for the 2025 NFL Draft.